Hello students, welcome back to my channel. In the previous session, we had started the chapter 4, which is data structure. And in that session, we have seen what is the data structure, what is data, what are the types of data, how they are divided, isn't it? Primitive data structure, non-primitive data structure, what are the operations performed on them, all these details we had seen, okay? So in this today's session, we are going to see all about arrays. Now this arrays, I have divided into 3 sessions. Okay, in today's session, we are going to see their definitions, how they are represented in the memory, what are their types, etc. And the coming 2 sessions are going to be all of their operations performed on them. So what are the operations performed on, what is the algorithm and a program? This is what we are going to learn in the coming 2 sessions. Okay, so let's start today's session. So arrays, now what is an array? An array is a collection of homogeneous elements with unique name, and the elements are arranged one after another in adjacent memory location. Okay, so whenever we say an array, 2 things you should remember is homogeneous element. I told you homogeneous is nothing but similar data type, isn't it? So in arrays, you cannot have different data types. It has to be of a single data type. And another is adjacent memory location. So in order to declare an array, you will be using the consecutive or continuous memory location, something like this. So an array, whenever you declare, it is going to get stored like this in the memory. Right. So an array is a collection of homogeneous elements. So the whatever the elements data items are going to be are going to be of same type with unique name. Okay. So this array we are going to give a single name. Suppose A. Now giving name to an array is going to follow the same rule as the rule we follow in order to give the name to a variable when it comes to C++. Okay. So with the unique name, and the elements are arranged one after the another. So you can see here, elements are arranged one after the another in the adjacent memory location. So if you have a memory something like this, it cannot be that one element is here, one element is here, one element is here, one element. This cannot happen in case of array. If you want to use an array, it has to be adjacent or continuous memory location, right? Next, the data items in array are called as elements. Okay. Now these elements are accessed using subscripts. Hence, they are also called as subscripted elements. This we have seen in the last session also. We saw that certain data structures use subscripts in order to access their data, isn't it? Because we are going to group them in a non-primitive data structure. We are always going to group the data items. So this is one of the array is one of the non-primitive data structure, isn't it? So when we group them, suppose I'm giving the name A, I am going to have subscript here. And always remember arrays start with 0. So 0 subscript, so this is going to be A of 0, this is going to be A of 1, this is going to be A of 2, this is going to be A of 3, etc. Right. So these elements, each element is called as element of this particular array, or this is also called as subscripted variable of this particular array. Okay. So next, what are the types of array? Now we have one-dimensional array, we have two-dimensional array, and also we have multi-dimensional array. So mainly, basically, we are going to learn about these two. Okay. So what is a one-dimensional array? A one-dimensional array with only one row or column is called one-dimensional array. It is finite collection of n number of elements of same type. Okay. So if I'm having a memory representation or a single column, something like this, or a single row, something like this is called as one-dimensional array. Okay. Now, elements are stored in contiguous location. Now, this is a very, very important point for array. Okay, whether it is one-dimensional or two-dimensional, it has to be a contiguous location, and elements can be referred by indexing. Right. Now, for example, here Array can be denoted as, first we are going to write a data type. So when we declare a data type for the array name, all the elements are going to be of the same data type. If I say int here, then all of them are going to be int. If I say float here, then all of them are going to be float. If I say character, it has to be character, all of them. You cannot have a int one, first element int and second element float. It is not possible in arrays, right? Now, how do we declare it, or how do we denote the array? We will always mention it something like this. Okay, so it is going to be data type first, and then the array name, whatever the array name we want, we can give, and then the size, how many numbers. So here it is said n. If I'm saying 5, what happens is 5 memory gets allocated for this particular array. Now, here the size specifies the number of elements in the array, and the index values ranges from 0 to n minus 1. Always remember this. The index always starts with 0. So if I'm saying 5 element, it is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it is not 5. Why? Because we are starting from 0. So how many elements do we have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, isn't it? So we have 5 elements. The index is always starting from 0 to 4. So it will always be, last element will be the number of elements minus 1. Okay, this you should be remembering. So next, let's see. See this diagram carefully. Here everything is explained in detail. The array which is used to represent and store data in a linear form is called as single or one-dimensional array. This I have already explained. The syntax is, first we need to write the data type and the name of the array, and then we are going to mention the size, right? So example here, if you are writing in a C++, you are going to write something like this. This is when you say it like this, a memory gets allocated with size 5 because we have 5 here. Now the name of this array is A. Okay, so the first element is A of 0, the second element is going to be A of 1, the third element is going to be A of 2, the fourth element is going to be A of 3, and the fifth element is going to be A of 4. Okay, now total size in bytes. What is this, the size of this particular array? Now total size is equal to length of the array into size of the data type, right? Now, in case of int, we know that it takes 2 bytes, right? So here int is 2 bytes and we have 5 elements. So the size of this particular array is going to be 2 into 5, which is nothing but 10 bytes. Right? So that is what set is here. In the above example, A is an array of type integer which has a storage size of 5 elements. The total size would be 5 into 2, 10 bytes. Similarly, if you are writing float, you should know what is the size of float. If you are taking character, you should know what is the size of character, etc. Depending on that, we are going to multiply the size into the whatever the data type you are using. So each data type or each element, how much space it is taking, that into the number of size of the array, who is what gives the size of that entire array taken in the memory, right? So here they have given the memory allocations. So memory allocation, so this is our subscript, like I said here. It's here they have mentioned n, okay? So elements are these, address. Now address and subscripts are not same. Students often confuse them. The address is the whatever address which is given to this particular memory. No, it need not be 100. Okay, it can be anything. Your computer may give a different address. My computer might give a different address. This totally depends upon the available space. So wherever that much space is available, wherever this 10 bytes is available, there this array gets allocated. So address can be different, right? So this is subscript. This is not the address. The address is the one which is allocated by your computer, right? So see here, single dimensional array, 5 element, 5 rows, 1 column. So here is a column representation of a single one-dimensional array. So here the element 1, element 2, element 3. So this also is going to be represented as A of 0, A of 1, A of 2. Similarly, okay? Okay, I hope this is clear to you all. So what are the feature of a single dimensional array? Array size should be a positive number only. So you cannot declare int a of -5. This is wrong. Okay, this has to be a positive number. String array always terminates with a null character. So if you're having an array with a string, okay, so the last value is going to be a null character. Sorry, this is always going to be a null character, something like this. Whatever may be the value here, if I'm writing array, if I'm storing arrays in this, the last one is going to be a null character. Okay, this is the feature of the array. And array elements are counted from 0 to n-1. This I told you. If I have 6 elements, then the subscripts are going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The last element is going to be the number -1. Okay. Now useful for multiple reading of element. So if we have to read many values, then we can use an array because we can store so many values at a shot, isn't it? So this is useful for multiple reading of element. Next, how do I calculate the length of an array? Now, the length of an array can be calculated by this particular formula where length is equal to upper bound minus lower bound plus 1. What is this upper bound and lower bound? Now, upper bound is the largest index and lower bound is the smallest index of an array. Okay, so they have given an example here. See here, if an array A has values this one stored in the location 0 to 5. Okay, so suppose this is my array. So what happens? Where do we have a first element? First element is always going to be in 0, isn't it? After that 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Right. Now, the what is upper bound? Upper bound is nothing but the largest index, which is my 5. Okay. So I'm going to get 5, and the lower bound is nothing but 0. So I'm going to say -0. And what does the formula say? +1. Now this is nothing but 5 minus 0 is 5 plus 1 is 6. So this is the length of the array, isn't it? So it is taking how many space? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 data elements. So this is right. So this is the length of the array. You should remember this formula. This is nothing but upper bound minus lower bound and plus 1. Here the upper bound is not the number of elements. This has to be your upper subscript or the largest subscript, and lower bound is the lowest subscript, and then you are going to add 1 to it, right? So this is how we are going to calculate the length of an array. Now, how do we represent them in the memory? Representation of one-dimensional array in memory. The address of the first element of the linear array A is given by base A, called as the base address of A. Now, what is this A? A here is nothing but an array name, okay, name of this particular array. So whenever I say, we know that this is the A0, A of 1, A of 2, etc. We know, isn't it? This is A of 3, etc. When I say address of the first element is nothing but A of 0. Now this is always given by A or A of 0. So either using A, which is my name of the array, or A of 0, whatever value we get, this both is called as a base address. That is the very first address of the element, or the address of the very first element, which is this one. It is called as a base address. Okay. Now using this, we can calculate the address of any element of A by the formula, this particular formula. Now what is this formula? Location of A of P, where P is, suppose if you want to find out the value of this P variable, okay, or the Pth element in that particular array, then all we need to do is add the base address with the width of P minus LB. Now P is nothing but the element whose position we want to find out minus the lower bound. Okay, I hope it is clear. Now W is the number of words per memory cell. That is, suppose in your memory you have the address is stored something like this: 100, 102, 103, sorry, 104. So here we are having a number of word is 2, isn't it? So we are having a difference of 2 here between the memory address. So here the number of words per memory cell is 2. Suppose sometimes I have 100, 104, 108. So in this case, the number of word per memory cell is nothing but 4. Okay. So you need to see that. Depending on this, we need to calculate W of P is the data item whose address we are finding, and LB is nothing but the lower bound of the particular array. Okay. Now see this example. With this, it is going to be clear. I have an array here. An array's name is S. Okay. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 elements. And of course, you know this. S of 0 is nothing but first element. S of 1 is nothing but the second element. This is S of 2 is third element. S of 3 is fourth element. S of 4 is fifth element, isn't it? Now see the address here. How is it? It is 1000, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. So what is the word number of word? What is the value of word is going to be here? Now see this example. With this example, this particular formula is going to be easy or understandable. Okay. Now this is an array. Now what is the name of the array? With this I can find out that the name of the array is S, right? So I have 5 elements in this array. S of 0 is the first element, which is A. S of 1 is the second element. S of 2 is the third element. S of 3 is the fourth element. S of 4 is the fifth element, isn't it? Now see here, 1000, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. With this, we can find out the value of W. What is it? The value of W is this minus this. So I'm getting 1, isn't it? Now see here, suppose if a string S is used to store a string A, B, C, D, E. So this is a array of type what? This is the array of type string. Okay, so that is why we are storing characters here. So starting address at 1000. So what is this is also called as, I said, this is nothing but our base address, isn't it? The address of the very first element is also called as a base address. Now, one can find the address of the fourth element as follows. Which is the fourth element we have here? Our fourth element is the D. Now, suppose think that we don't know this value. We know only this value. That is a base address. How do I find out the value of this? So we are going to use this formula. Okay. The address of the element S of 3 can be calculated as follows. How did we get this S of 3? Because we need to find out the value of fourth element. Now, fourth element is nothing but S of 3. Okay, so when you see this 3, don't think this is the third element. This is the fourth element. Why? Because we are starting the index from 0, right? Now, the formula we have is address of S of 3 or address of P, right? Which is S of 3, because we have to find the address of P. And how do we find out that? Base address, which is our base address, 1000 plus W of, now W is nothing but 1, isn't it? P minus LB. Now what is P here? We have 3, isn't it? And lower bound is the smallest index, which is that 0, right? So how much I'm going to get? 1000 plus 3 minus 0 is 3. 3 into 1 is 3 again. So this is going to be 1003. Isn't this same? Isn't it? So this is how we are going to find out the address of any given element. So in order to find out the address of any given element in an array, first thing we should know is the base address or the address of the very first element. And then we should know the number of word between them. That is, here it is 1. So when we minus 2 address, we are going to get, we need to minus the 2 consecutive addresses. We are going to get the value of W. So base address, value of W, and the very first index or the lower bound is what we need to know. So you need to know this formula, right? I hope this is clear. Now, what are the operations which we can perform on one-dimensional array, right? So the very first operation is traversing. We have seen this traversing in non-primitive data structures also. I told you there, accessing each element, or traversing is traveling to each element or data item of a given data structure is nothing but traversing. Okay. Now, searching. What is searching? Finding a location of an element in an array. If we need to find out a particular data item in an array, so we use this operation, which is searching. Next is sorting. Sorting is arranging the element in an array either in the ascending or the descending order. So this is called as, this is a sorting operation. Next, insertion. Suppose if I want to insert an element into an array, then I will use this particular operation. If I want to delete a particular data item from the array, then I'm going to use a deletion operation. Merging. Merging is combining one or more arrays to form a single array. Okay, so these are the 6 operations which we can perform on array. Right, so that's all about array in today's session. In the coming 2 sessions, we are going to learn a lot of algorithm and programs about the array itself. Right, students? So till then, thank you for watching. Take care.